It is this boy who dons the bright orange bandolier and shepherds the really small ones through the crosswalk outside school. This is after finishing the Meals on Wheels breakfast tour of the hospice downtown, whose administrator lunges to bolt her office door when she hears his cart's wheels in the hall. He has paid out of pocket for the steel whistle and the white gloves held palm out at cars while children who did not dress themselves cross behind him, some trying to run despite walk, don't run, the happy face sandwich board he also made himself. The autos whose drivers he knows, he waves at and gives an extra big smile and tosses some words of good cheer as the crosswalk clears and the cars peel out and move through, some joshing around a little by swerving to miss him only by inches as he laughs and dances aside and makes faces of pretended terror at the flank and rear bumper. The one time that station wagon didn't miss him really was an accident, and he sent the lady several notes to make absolutely sure she knew he understood that, and asked a whole lot of people he hadn't yet gotten the opportunity to make friends with to sign his cast, and decorated the crutches very carefully with bits of colored ribbon and tinsel and adhesive sparkles. And even before the 6 weeks the doctor sternly prescribed, he'd given them away to the children's wing to brighten up some other less lucky and happy kid's convalescence. And by the end of the whole thing, he'd been inspired to write a very long theme to enter in the annual social studies theme competition about how a positive attitude can make even an accidental injury into an occasion for new friends and bright new opportunities for reaching out to others. And while the theme didn't even get honorable mention, he honestly didn't care, because he felt like writing the theme had been its own reward, and he'd gotten a lot out of the whole 9-draft process, and was honestly happy for the kids whose themes did win awards, and told them he was 100+% sure they deserved it, and that if they wanted to preserve their prize themes and maybe even make display items out of them for their parents, he'd be happy to type them up and laminate them and even fix any spelling errors he found if they'd like him to. And at home, his father puts his hand on Leonard's shoulder and says he's really proud that his son's such a good sport, and offers to take him to Dairy Queen as a kind of reward. And Leonard tells his father he's grateful and that the gesture means a lot to him, but that in all honesty he'd like it even more if they took the money his father would have spent on the ice cream and instead donated it either to Easter Seals or, better yet, to UNICEF, to go toward the needs of famine-ravaged Biafran kids who he knew for a fact had probably never even heard of ice cream, and says that he bets it'll end up giving both of them a better feeling even than the DQ would. And as the father slips the coins in the coin slot of the special bright orange UNICEF volunteer cardboard pumpkin bank, Leonard takes a moment to express concern about the father's facial tic again, and to gently rib him about his reluctance to go in and have the family's MD look at it, noting again that according to the chart on the back of his bedroom door, the father is 4 months overdue for his annual physical, and that it's almost 8 months past the date of his recommended tetanus and TB boosters. He serves as hall monitor for periods 1 and 2, but gives far more official warnings than actual citations. He's there to serve, he feels, not run people down. Usually with the official warnings, he dispenses a smile and tells them, "You're young exactly once, so enjoy it. And to go get out of here and make this day count, why don't they?" He does UNICEF and Easter Seals and starts a recycling program in 3 straight grades. He is healthy and scrubbed and always groomed just well enough to project basic courtesy and respect for the community of which he is a part, and he politely raises his hand in class for every question, but only if he's sure he knows not only the correct answer, but the formulation of that answer that the teacher's looking for that will help advance the discussion of the overall topic they're covering that day. Often staying after class to double-check with the teacher that his take on her general objectives is sound, and to ask whether there was any way his answers could have been better or more helpful. The boy's mom has a terrible accident while cleaning the oven and is rushed to the hospital. And even though he's beside himself with concern and says constant prayers for her safety, he volunteers to stay home and field calls and relay information to an alphabetized list of concerned family, friends, and relatives, and to make sure the mail and newspaper are brought in, and to keep the home's lights turned on and off in a random sequence at night as Officer Chuck of the Michigan State Police's Crime Stoppers public school outreach program sensibly advises when grown-ups are suddenly called away from home. And also to call the gas company's emergency number, which he has memorized, to come check on what may well be a defective valve or circuit in the oven before anyone else in the family is exposed to risk of accidental harm. And also, in secret, to work on a massive display of bunting and pennants and welcome home and world's greatest mom signs, which he plans to use the garage's extendable aluminum ladder, with a responsible neighborhood adult holding it and supervising, to very carefully affix to the front of the home with water-soluble glue, so they'll be there to greet the mom when she's released from the ICU with a totally clean bill of health, which Leonard calls his father repeatedly at the ICU payphone to assure the father that he has absolutely no doubt of the totally clean bill of health, calling hourly, right on the dot, until there's some kind of mechanical problem with the payphone, and when he dials it, he just gets a high tone, which he duly reports to the telephone company's new automated 1618 trouble line. He can do several kinds of calligraphy and has been to origami camp twice, and can do extraordinary freehand sketches of local flora with either hand, and can whistle all 6 of Telemann's Nouveau Quatorze, and can imitate any bird call Audubon could ever even have thought of. Don't even mention spelling bees. He can make over 20 different kinds of admiral, cowboy, clerical, and multi-ethnic hats out of ordinary newspaper. And he volunteers to visit the school's K through 2nd classrooms, teaching the little kids how. A proposal the Carl P. Robinson Elementary principal says he appreciates and is considered very carefully before turning down. The principal loathes the mere sight of the boy, but does not quite know why. He sees the boy in his sleep at nightmare's ragged edges. The pressed checked shirt and hair's hard little part, the freckles and ready generous smile, anything he can do. The principal fantasizes about sinking a meat hook into Leonard Stessek's bright-eyed little face and dragging the boy face down behind his Volkswagen Beetle over the rough new streets of suburban Grand Rapids. The fantasies come out of nowhere and horrify the principal, who is a devout Mennonite. Everyone hates the boy. It is a complex hatred that makes the hater feel guilty and awful and to hate themselves for feeling this way, and so makes them involuntarily hate the boy even more for arousing such self-hatred. The whole thing is totally confusing and upsetting. People take a lot of aspirin when he's around. The boy's only real friends among kids are the damaged, the handicapped, the slow, the clinically fat, the last picked, the non grata. He seeks them out. All 316 invitations to his 11th birthday blowout bash. 322 invitations if you count the ones made on audio tape for the blind. Are off-scent printed on quality vellum with matching high-rag envelopes addressed in ornate Philippian II calligraphy he spent 3 weekends on. And each invitation details in Roman numeraled outline form the itinerary's half-day at Six Flags, private PhD guided tour of the Blandford Nature Center, and reserved banquet area with free play at Shakey's Pizza and indoor arcade on Remembrance Drive. The whole day gratis and paid for out of the paper and aluminum drives the boy got up at 4 a.m. all summer to organize and spearhead. The balance of the drive's receipts going to the Red Cross and the parents of a Kentwood, Michigan third grader with terminal spina bifida who dreams above all else of seeing Landry and Greer and Night Train Lane live from his motorized wheelchair. And the invitations explicitly call the party this, a blowout bash, in balloon-shaped font as the caption to an illustrated explosion of good cheer and goodwill and no-holds-barred let-out-all-the-stops fun, with the bold-faced proviso, please, no presents required, in each card's 4 corners. And the 316 invitations sent via first-class mail to every student, instructor, substitute, aide, administrator, custodian, and physical plant employee at C.P. Robinson Elementary yield a total attendance of 9 celebrants, not counting parents and LPNs of the incapacitated. And yet an undauntedly fine time was had by all, was the consensus on the honest appraisal and suggestion cards circulated at party's end. The massive remainders of chocolate cake, Neapolitan ice cream, pizza, chips, caramel corn, Hershey's Kisses, United Way and Officer Chuck pamphlets on organ tissue donation and the correct procedures to follow if approached by a stranger, respectively, kosher pizza for the Orthodox, biodegradable napkins, and dietetic soda in souvenir. I survived Leonard Stessek's 11th birthday blowout bash, 1964, plastic glasses with built-in crazy straws the guests were to keep as mementos. all donated to